Yo, YouTube, how's everybody out there doing? So, this is kind of going to be like a lightning round, although I'm not calling it a lightning round. So we're going to talk about some really just tiny, simple concept applying to doing multiplication on a standardized test that I noticed a lot of kids just either getting wrong or just when you're on a test with a time clock running against you, you need to resolve your problems really quickly. So there's the notion of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That's what that means. Instead of complicating stuff, just try to kind of back off things and try to figure out stuff. And this is kind of an underlying principle for a lot of stuff. Whether you're writing something, whether you're designing something, whether you're trying to solve a problem, sometimes just back off, relax, and approach it simply and calmly, all right? Every problem doesn't demand this kind of approach, and it's not a solution to everything, but in enough things it is. And when you consider what the test writers are doing often, sometimes there's some deep stuff involved and sometimes there's not. And in almost all cases on something like a standardized test, especially a timed one, the numbers are made to work out. It's just a matter of getting there, okay? So once you figure out the problem, often the numbers just bing, bang, boom, and they're done. Because you're never going to get an answer like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. That's getting esoteric for stuff like this, especially if you're not allowed to use a calculator. All right, so let me make sure that the stream is live, and let me make sure that let's see if we bring this down. All right, so there's our problem, and it's nothing earth-shattering. So what they want us to do is take 3 fractions, 3/4, 5/12, and 8/15, and multiply them out. And they even give you the answer choices, which is kind of really helpful for this. That said, don't be sloppy when you try to solve kind of things like this. Try to avoid doing things in your head. In all cases, this is actually a problem from the Hunter College High School practice test. And so it would apply equally to something like the SHSAT, the SSAT, the ISEE, even the PSAT. It's probably too simple for the SAT, but there's a whole ton of tests that it work with, even the New York State test, okay? For really from grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8. This is not really a super challenging question, so I'm not really presenting it from that perspective. I'm presenting it from the perspective of you're a test taker and you need some test taking skills, especially as applies to multiplication. So let's just jump into this and see what the heck I'm talking about. So they want the product of the 3 fractions. So we have 3/4 times 5/12 times 8/15. Okay, so almost every kid I've seen try to solve this problem is they go across the numerators and across the denominators, multiplying it out. So then you get something like 15, 3 times top is 15, and they're going to multiply that out. 15 times 8, you get 0.4, and they get 120 on the numerator, okay? And then at the denominator, and they often go left to right. So they're going to get 48 times 15. They're going to multiply that out as well. And in the process of doing both of these multiplications, they're probably going to make an error, okay? And this is nasty enough by itself. So so we get 0.4, and then we get 24, and 8 and 4. Whoops. So we get 0, 2, 1, 720. So we get 120 over 720. All right, so there's a lot going on here. It is a fraction. There is 3 multiplications. So enough kids, after having gone through that, and again, they're probably going to make a mistake here or there, and they're probably going to do something wrong here, all right? They're just going to settle on C and move on to the next question, but it's asking for the answer in lowest terms. So we still have to do something with this. And a lot of kids who won't leap out at them. This is the 12 times multiplication table. 12 times 6 is 720, so the answer is 1 over 6. So enough kids are going to take this and make it 12 over 72, and then say, oh, they're both even, so that's So that's 6 over 36. And this might still leap out at somebody that 6 times 6 is 36. So that's 1/6. Otherwise, they're going to keep going. And they might even divide it by 3 and get something like 2 over 18. No, over 12. Okay? See, I even did that wrong. So what you're doing is lending yourself into an ill situation. And this is a timed test. You have 3 hours to do most of these tests, and this second's just kicking off here. And the time you can shave off answering a question like this is enough time to spend answering another question. A lot of these tests, kids never finish them, and this is an opportunity on a question like this. It's being given to you on a silver plate, how to resolve this. First of all, so let me make some other points. First of all, if we bring back the original problem, we have 3/4 times 5/12 times 8/15. If nothing else, the multiplication of the 5 and the 8 from a number sense perspective is going to give you 40. And 40 times 3 is 120. That you can definitely do in your head. When you do it the other way and you do 15 times 8, you can also do that in your head, but it's harder. Okay? But once you do 8 times, you got 40, that's 120. It's a no-brainer. So when things are multiples of 10s, they just work out that way, right? The denominator isn't as clear. But there's still another solution that we can present in here, which is that if we have 3/4 times 5/12 times 8/15. This is analogous to A over B times C over D times E over F, and it doesn't matter what these are called, but this becomes A times C times E over B times D times F. That should have been an F. I don't know why I wrote a D. All right? So they're equal. So it means we can cancel out numerators and denominators, so we can do it here too. Okay? So if we come back to the original problem, we can go across from any numerator into any denominator. So 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 8 twice, right? 3 goes into 3 once, it can go into 12 or 15. I notice there's a 5 here, so I'm going to do the 5 into the 15 and the 3 into the 12. So 5 goes into 5 once, and that's 3. And 3 goes into 3 once, and this one's 4, right? And we can even do it one more time. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 4 twice. So we end up with on the numerator 1 times 1 times 1, and 1 times 2 times 3. So we get 1/6. So this is no-brainer stuff. This is why I'm talking about keep it simple, stupid. That in this scenario, you can just cancel out and just be done with it. And that's the end of the answer. Bing, bang, boom. And you can even do it twice. You can do this twice faster than having done the other math and having to do the simplification. Now, this isn't picture perfect. You can have larger numbers that are nastier. You can have other multiples. Luckily, these were all multiples, either 3 or 5 or 2. You could have, when you get into multiples of like 7 or 9, people start getting bent out of shape. But again, they're often giving you this kind of problem just to see if you know how to do it, and then to be creative. Because the kid who knows how to do this and has the number sense, they're going to get through this problem and start working on the other one. Plus, they're going to get the point for it on top of that. So they're going to get more problems done than you. They're going to get the more problems correctly done than you. So you want this notion of doing things like this in this manner, okay? And just a side note, that if you had something like 4/10, you can also cancel that, right? 2 goes into here and there. So that's the same as 2/5. But you can get carried away with this sometimes, because in some examples you actually want that 10, because multiplication by 10 is a handy thing to use, okay? So actually not simplifying 4/10 to 2/5, in some cases simpler to keep it as the 10, all right? So as you become more mathematically astute and aware of the number sense and so on, some of this is going to make sense to you guys. So this is a classic problem that comes up in a lot of tests. And this is the way to solve it. Just cancel these guys all back and forth until you're done. All right? So the answer should be A if it's not obvious. And in some of the other cases, E is 1/6 flipped over. B is also 1/6. So that's somebody who, if you come back to what I had over here, where we ended up with the 120 over 720, somebody might start simplifying it and not get past the 15 over 90 and realize that that can also still be simplified. All right? So that's one of the problems with that. So what you want to do is end up with simpler numbers. So it's just not as hard to do. So even if we couldn't get it down to the numerators being 1 all on the top, it was still simple. Like the last step we did the 2 and the 4, we could have left that to be 2/12, and that would have been obvious to most people that it reduces to 1/6. They didn't make 2/12 one of the answers, so that was your clue in. Sometimes they give the answers. D is 70/10. I'm not sure where they got that from, but there's probably some sort of calculation that's going on that would produce that answer. So again, just be careful, guys. So this is part of your number sense, and I'm gonna do a few more scopes videos related to this kind of thing. If you go to my last one relating to the greatest common factor and the least common multiple, I show a technique to shorten the time of doing that drastically. And if you can shave off 30 seconds here and there, you shave off 30 seconds for 5 problems, you can do another 2 problems or even 3 problems. Or that's the time for you to make a bathroom run or something like that, all right? So it sounds like what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. This is just a simple thought and a simple concept. But it can add up. Pennies add up. Well, this kind of thing adds up. So what I might do in the next few days is to show you guys some other ways to kind of shave time off of your calculations when you're doing a standard test. And the truth of the matter is once you understand the math, you might also use these alternate techniques as the main technique. Okay? All right, everybody, peace out. Please like, please sub.